Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's presentation, Managing Mac and iOS in Government. My name is Jen Kaplan, and I'm a Product Marketing Manager at Jamf. And today with me is Matt Woodruff, Senior Systems Engineer at Jamf. Let's take a look at our agenda for today. For those who are new on the call, today we'll begin with a quick overview of who Jamf is and what we do. We'll discuss a few ways in which the public sector is unique and discuss some of the key challenges to device management. We'll provide a quick overview of the Apple ecosystem, focusing specifically on native Apple security tools and deployment programs. Then we'll walk through a few key areas to consider when managing the Apple ecosystem in government. We'll leave you with some resources and answers to your questions. And if you have questions throughout today's webinar, please enter them into the Q&A area of the webinar panel throughout today's session. Let's kick things off with a brief overview of Jamf. For those who aren't familiar with Jamf, we're the standard for Apple management because we help organizations succeed with Apple. At Jamf, we embrace the native Apple technology experience consumers have come to know and love, and we have offered zero-day support for all new Apple releases for over a decade, supporting new versions and features from Apple better and faster than anyone. Our two core products are Jamf Now and Jamf Pro. Jamf Now offers simple, on-demand mobile device management for organizations without IT expertise, and Jamf Pro is complete lifecycle management for organizations of all sizes. With a focus on end-user empowerment, Jamf Pro automates common IT tasks and gives users the ability to set up and support their own devices. We focus on the areas of zero-touch deployments, robust device configuration, app management, inventory, security, and end-user empowerment, with the ability to offer a self-service app catalog for end users to deploy their own apps and perform Tier 1 troubleshooting tasks. We've been focused on Apple device management for 15 years, with more than 10,000 organizations worldwide relying on Jamf to manage their devices. In fact, Jamf Pro manages 40,000 federal Mac and 3,000 federal iOS devices. And Jamf reached new heights when NASA recently selected Jamf to remotely and securely manage its first iPads in use at the International Space Station. And now I'd like to pass the ball to Matt Woodruff, our Senior Systems Engineer. Matt works with many of our government customers and has a wealth of expertise to share related to managing devices in federal organizations.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jen, and thank you everyone for joining. So as you can see here, there's particular pieces that we're going to talk through in regards to challenges that are affecting these government customers. Both state, local, and federal government institutions are running through a massive amounts of requirements. And one of those requirements that are really dictating the security is the implementation of both security baselines for DoD as well as civilian or classified and non-classified networks. So we are in the process of helping many organizations implement both the STIG standard for DoD as well as CIS standard for other agencies existing in the government space. You'll also see that as the macOS platform continues to evolve, one of the main pieces that is incurring integration with the macOS platform is smart cards. It's something that is new to the macOS Sierra to have that native smart card integration within the operating system. But yet Jamf has also been successful in implementing smart card integration for 10, 11, and below with both Centrify and Admit Mac PKI, so we can help you with those integrations as well. There's the main component that is driving both the FISMA and DHS and GSA's CDM initiative, and that is compliancy reporting, making sure that those security baselines are getting enforced on all government units that are deployed, especially in the federal government space. So we can help with getting that compliancy reporting built, possibly also exported out to other logging techniques like Splunk or implementing like BigFix and BigFix agent reporting as well. One of the big things that's affecting state and local and federal governments is this idea that Apple is moving more and more towards the modernization of what deployment looks like. We here at Jamf are constantly on the forefront of making sure that we have full integration with all of Apple's deployment programs like DEP and VPP, which is the device enrollment program and the volume purchase program. We have had full integration with those deployment programs since the beginning, and those particular deployments will help the government space in modernizing how the deployment of Apple products will exist in your environment. Please understand that we are always getting integrated into very critical mission areas of the government space. As Jen just mentioned, with NASA is one example where we are on the forefront of helping NASA manage these iPads that are critical to making sure that we have adequate log information about everything going on the ISS. So those are just it's one public example we can talk about that we are helping in the space of mission critical technology. The last thing is understanding just the Apple difference. How is the Apple platform just changing this paradigm that we have constantly seen as an incredible focus on both with mobile, it was BlackBerry, and with desktop and laptops, it was for a very long time the Windows platform, but the Apple platform is making incredible strides as more departments of the federal government are gaining and purchasing more Apple devices. They're finding that the usability of the devices and the user interface is helping drive productivity in an extreme manner for all organizations.
That's right, Matt. And Apple really is different. I mean, the release cycle is faster than validation processes can keep up. And government is evolving to this process and really streamlining because Apple usage is growing in all industries. In fact, Jamf conducted a survey this year of enterprise organizations and found a major prevalence of Apple devices in the enterprise, with 96% of businesses supporting Mac, 81% supporting iPad, and 84% supporting iPhone. And according to Good Technology's Mobility Index report, iPhone accounted for 72% of all enterprise smartphone activations during the first quarter of this year, while iPad accounted for 81% of tablet activations. So not only is Apple growing in the enterprise and education, it's really all industries, which impacts government as well.
So one of the things that we are constantly pushing towards is working with our Apple partners and understanding, you know what, in the government space, there are tons of security configurations and tools that are needing to evolve because of the possibly antiquated way in which you have managed other types of operating systems. Apple is just different. So there are different methods to managing that, along with making sure that those challenges are met from a security perspective. So we here at Jamf are in the process of making sure that we keep pace with Apple's deployment programs and the ability of enforcing management on every device so that it works with that, as we talked about, security baseline that you are enforcing in your environment. So now that we've talked about what are some of the challenges facing the government customers, let's talk about really quickly the Apple native security that's built into the products that help each one of you be successful and can meet those security checkboxes that you need for your organizations. The first that we'll talk about is Apple's built-in full disk encryption product for the macOS platform. The first is called FileVault. This is native to all macOS devices and was introduced in 10.7 for all Macs, especially as they have gone from those spinning hard drives to SSDs. It's made it even easier than ever to make sure and introduce full disk encryption to those products. With that, you're always wanting to make sure, as well as being compliant with federal standards, you're getting those encryption keys stored centrally within the Jamf Pro server, whether they be the institution or individual recovery keys. Please understand that not only is this macOS encryption technology FIPS 140-2 compliant, but they also, Apple, has introduced full disk encryption products for iOS devices as well, which is also FIPS 140-2 compliant as well, which allows Jamf to help every organization in enforcing full disk encryption on every Apple device that you deploy. Encryption keys are very unique because there's always a unique method that each agency might go and approach the process of obtaining encryption keys. So this is a great way of understanding that with encryption keys, they are definitely not your password, but understanding you can use them to reset a password, especially as you possibly boot into a recovery partition and get that process started with Jamf Pro escrowing those recovery keys. We have the ability of both escrowing individual recovery keys as well as pushing down institutional recovery keys, because there is a dramatic difference between what can decrypt as well as unlock users. Multiple keys can be used for any one unit, specifically macOS. iOS is just a one user device, so therefore there should be just one encryption key available on iOS. And with macOS, every single user could possibly have their own individual recovery keys assigned to them. Jamf Pro can also help reissuing any keys you might not have escrowed into your Jamf Pro server. The managed open-in was something that we wanted to talk about specifically because of iOS and how unique it is. Apple has been tremendously helpful to enterprise and government customers in securing that data that possibly might be classified, to the point of all data that you push out to the device, whether it be email or any type of messaging service that you have, or PDFs that you make available in self-service, or anything else, you want to make sure that it stays within the apps that you have deployed. So one of the things that Jamf can help you complete with your management solution, especially with iOS, is conforming all apps to contain the data that you have deployed. So only apps that Jamf has deployed and email settings that you have deployed will allow data to be shared between them, and not with any personal apps that might have been installed on the device. So this is a great way of keeping corporate data within your corporate apps and email. Gatekeeper is a function of macOS that allows you to validate that the sandboxing approach is working correctly with only identified developers of the Apple platform. This is actually also a huge piece of securing the macOS through CIS and STIG, is the enforcement that gatekeepers stay on and cannot be changed, so that you can make sure that every application that's installed is validated by Apple's security measures of their deployment program and has the right certificates to be installed, therefore keeping out malware programs and viruses from being installed by your end users by accident. It also helps a lot with patching, making sure that the right patches with the right app certificates are getting applied on the macOS device. So that's what Gatekeeper obtains. The next item that we'll talk about is software updates. Most of us have dealt with the Microsoft Windows environment where you have Windows SUS appliance. Apple has also given us the ability to control what Apple SUS appliance you want to control OS updates and OS patches coming to your environment. It is Apple's built-in tool to update every macOS device and iOS device. Now, we have the ability using macOS configuration profiles to control where you get those software updates from. Maybe you don't want them going to Apple and downloading the latest update whenever they feel the pleasure to do so. Therefore, you get to build up your own Apple software update server in-house and control which patches you're going to make available for your environment. Now that we've talked about Apple's native security tools that are built into the products themselves, let's go through what some of the management considerations might be as you're approaching Jamf Pro. One is to always make sure that you are leveraging those tools that Apple has built in to the operating system, to the applications, and to the user environments. So Jamf Pro can always be on the forefront of any OS release, being the first people to not only support that particular operating system, but also support all the feature sets that are included in any new updates. The macOS CIS benchmark and iOS CIS benchmark are two items that are very closely enveloped within the frameworks that they're building for security baselines that we have wrapped solutions around. Our Jamf Professional Services team has actually got a solution for helping you implement the CIS benchmark across your entire Apple fleet. So please be aware that that's one of the pieces that we can help, and we also offer some of these tools for free. Another piece that we help with consistently is the DISA-STIG and implementation in DoD networks. So please be aware we are very aware of and can help support those compliancy testing and reporting against the STIG standard. Now, whether you're in DoD and you're implementing CACs, or you're in civilian or non-classified environments that implement the PIV standard, please be aware that the macOS Sierra platform has now included smart card integration MDM commands that we have enforced with our product using Jamf Pro 9.99.0, as well as any integration that you might have with third-party applications that you need to deploy for earlier versions of macOS that you might need to integrate smart card integration into the operating system. The fifth thing that you've seen pop up is compliancy reporting. We are all aware that there are certain standards that you have to be able to report on, and making sure that both the CIS benchmark as well as the STIG benchmark have been successfully implemented at all times, and that you get an adequate report of those. So we do have customized reporting built into our product that help you identify that your security baseline is getting enforced. And the last item, something that Jamf is working with Homeland Security on, as well as Apple, is the new CDM initiative, making sure that as you guys are enforcing these level of managements and enforcing the security baseline, that not only do you have your customized reports needed, but maybe Homeland Security and GSA also have the reporting that they need as well. So please work with your Jamf account team in identifying how this can be completed and in what ways can Jamf help. So modernizing operations and demonstrate value are the next components of our slideshow. So what you'll find is Jen is going to talk to us about the Mac at IBM project and how successful it's been.
Yeah, this is a really interesting portion of today's webinar because as many of you know, in the public sector, sometimes you're really really kind of dependent upon your systems to demonstrate some of the ROI. And so when you're looking to demonstrate that value of both your Apple ecosystem and the management of your Apple ecosystem, this is where Jamf can play a really big role. IBM is a really great example of an enterprise organization that is managing Apple, leveraging those native technology tools that Matt referenced earlier to modernize their deployments and save cost and time. But how are they doing it? They're using the MDM framework built into Mac, iPhone, iPad, and now Apple TV. And Matt, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit through that MDM framework and how it relates to the public sector.
Sure. And most government customers are becoming more aware of and even understanding specifically that MDM capabilities and the framework is all utilizing Apple's push notification service, or APNS. So the ability for InfoSec to open that up as a new framework that allows all of you the ability to push configuration profiles no matter where that device is and control certain settings of that device, whether they're in or off the network, as well as additional MDM commands that are available by locking the device or wiping the device, no matter where they might exist, as long as they've got connectivity to the internet. So it is a built-in framework built into every OS, as Jen mentioned. The additional components that help make Jamf successful in the government, and this is one of our key components, is that the Jamf agent is something that's installed immediately after enrollment, along with self-service. So there's two components that make up the enrollment complete. With that, the Jamf agent can have this back-end randomly password-generated management account that can help you build hidden admin accounts, monitor any additional local admins that are getting logged into the machine. It also grants each of you that capability of having remote root access, giving root level shell scripts or bash scripts, or maybe the installation of application packages in the background. All those capabilities are wrapped into why the Jamf agent is massively successful for the government space. So when you combine both of these management frameworks together, MDM commands, MDM configuration profiles, as well as the capabilities of the Jamf agent, you have this total macOS management framework that makes each government institution successful.
That's right, Matt. And when it comes to managing devices in government, less is more, right? And so it's better to limit the number of agents and leverage MDM where possible, or use them in conjunction where possible, and focus on getting the right pieces of information into the right tool. And, there are other EMM providers out there that may build multiple specialized system agents for every security need. And that can really lead to a lot of redundant and potentially useless agents. And so where we stand at Jamf is really about being extremely lightweight and allow you to do as much as possible with what's in the operating system. And thanks to our integrations, you can share information to SCCM, Splunk, as Matt mentioned, or ServiceNow without the need for additional agents. So our agent really takes care of a lot of the security needs we just discussed without requiring all of those agents. And then we have the MDM framework built in and the MDM management capabilities. So we have a lot of options available, and that's really what Jamf does. It closes the gaps, closes any holes, and allows you to get full, robust lifecycle management of your Apple ecosystem.
Thanks, Jen. The Apple Device Enrollment Program is something that I was talking to, especially at the beginning of this, because this is a key identifier of how Apple looks to support both the enterprise and government spaces, especially regulated environments, and understanding that you can actually enforce management of all Apple devices as it comes out of the box. So you can absolutely envision this concept as you have the Apple devices shipped directly to the end user. And then as they open it out of the box, auto enrollment occurs during the setup assistant phase. So you get that MDM enrollment to occur, and then after the setup assistant is done, that Jamf binary gets automatically installed. So definitely something for you, each one of you, to work with your Apple resellers on identifying that they support the DEP program so that you can tie it into your Jamf Pro server for success. The volume purchase program is the second piece of the puzzle here that helps drive Apple's deployment programs to be successful in the enterprise and government space, allowing each one of you as agencies or organizations to purchase en masse apps that are either in the Mac App Store or the iOS App Store, either free or paid apps, and deploy them to your organizationally owned devices. So as you grow, you're going to want to make sure that the volume purchase program is something that can be integrated into your management solution and allowing you to also deploy these apps without an Apple ID ever entered on the device. So it's a great program that can be integrated into Jamf Pro Server today.
Thanks, Matt. And with self-service, another tool from Jamf, you can really maximize your IT resources to further empower employees. So the device enrollment program, Apple's volume purchase program, those apps that you're deploying out to your end users, through this really intuitive interface, your end users can install apps themselves, or they can update configurations. They can even troubleshoot common issues, creating that environment of empowerment and self-service, which is why we call it self-service. And by providing this customized tool to your end users, you can really empower that mobile, productive, and cross-generational workforce that allows those who want to take action on their end the immediate ability to get all of the tools they need to be successful, while still allowing anyone who wants to work directly with IT to get help if they need it. Well, thank you so much, Matt, and thank you for everyone on the call today. To recap, the public sector is facing many unique challenges when it comes to managing Apple devices. And with the growth of Apple in government and all industries, organizations need to find a way to evolve and manage Macs and other Apple devices as efficiently as they've managed other devices in the past. Leveraging Apple's native security tools and Jamf's management solution, Jamf Pro, organizations get everything they need to efficiently and effectively manage the Apple ecosystem at their organization. For more information on Jamf and our management solutions, head over to jamf.com and click the contact button to speak with one of our Apple management experts. Thank you for your time and have a great afternoon.